Hello and welcome to the first video of Unit 2, Presentation Tips. And the next few minutes I'll give you 4, I hope, useful tips to think about before you even start organizing your presentation and making up your slides. And for the purposes of this, a presentation here is any sort of oral presentation, whether it's a briefing to your immediate reports or a large formal presentation with visual aids to a larger group. And it makes little difference whether it's face-to-face or over video. For our purposes here, a presentation is any sort of oral briefing where you can see your audience. And so with that out of the way, on to the first tip, which is ensure that the message you want to deliver, that an oral presentation is a suitable channel for it. And we talked about the importance of choosing the appropriate channel in Unit 1, and that's especially key here because an oral presentation is a very special sort of channel. It lets you do something that no other channel does, and that is impose your personality on your message to show your enthusiasm live with a real audience, to see how they're responding, take feedback, answer their doubts, all of it live, and really impress your personality onto the message. And so that makes an oral presentation very useful for, say, a new development where you don't want it just to get lost in an email that no one reads, or for something that, or for a message that might be confusing or frightening if you're not there to explain it. On the other hand, an oral presentation does have some drawbacks. In that it's not a good way to pass on detailed information. So ensuring that an oral presentation is a suitable channel for the message you want to deliver, and then really taking advantage of what an oral presentation lets you do, that's really the first tip. That's the first thing to think about. Does this need to be an oral presentation? The second is having decided, okay, this should be delivered in person, this message. The next tip is to really be clear on what your purpose is in delivering it in person. After all, in any oral presentation, you're not going to be taking your own time. You are going to be taking the time of everyone in your audience. And so with a large audience, that's going to be a lot of person hours that you are taking away from them doing their jobs. So is your message important enough for that? And what are you looking to get out of it? Are you looking to inform your audience, persuade them that some new initiative is worthwhile, collect their feedback on it, because that can be an excellent use of an oral presentation with the instant audience response that you can get. But be very clear why this is important and what you want to accomplish. With that out of the way, having decided that yes, this needs to be an oral presentation, and I have my purpose clear, then you can start shaping your message. And the first and most important point in shaping your message, as we discussed in Unit 1, is knowing your audience, being audience focused. And this starts with putting yourself in your audience shoes. Think honestly of how they'll receive their message and what they're looking for. Because it doesn't matter how good your message is, if the audience isn't receptive, it's not going to work. And so depending on how technical the audience is it in-house? Do they know all your acronyms and abbreviations? That will affect your language and terminology. Is it a more general audience where you need to explain any technical terms? How much background does your audience have? Do you need to set the stage for them? Or if it's an in-house audience that's been involved in this, Would too much background just bore them? And how receptive is your audience? Are things going well? They're pretty happy with the way things are going, or are they more obstreperous? All of that will affect your tone as you start to think about your presentation. And then finally, having been clear on what you want to do, you might need to start gathering some facts and some information, looking up some stuff before you start organizing your material. And this is something that I've personally found is a really valuable tip. If there are materials that you need to look up, some stats you need to gather, some charts you need to assemble, do it first before you start organizing your points into your presentation. Otherwise, what I've found is you get a few points down, you start organizing, then you get some new material, and switching from assembling from organizing your material to doing research, well, that's disruptive to begin with. And then the new material winds up affecting what you've already organized. You've got to rearrange it to incorporate. And so you wind up undoing a lot of the work that you've already done. And so, if you don't get your research done first, any materials you need, any facts, any documents, if you don't assemble that first, you wind up wasting a lot of time chopping and changing, going back and forth, and then redoing bits of your presentation that you've already organized. So get that out of the way first. And there you go. Thank you for your attention. I hope you found those 4 tips useful. And next, the presentation will be going on to look at that actual organization of your material. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, cavils, cachinnations, observations of your own, please feel free to contribute them in the discussion forum for this unit. Thank you, and bye for now.